Hi and welcome. My name is Ken, and along with my husband Will, we own Verdigris Market Gardens. We're an urban farm here in Columbus, Ohio, and today what we're going to show you how to do is build raised garden beds out of cedar plank. Using cedar plank, particularly the fencing panel cedar plank, is a very inexpensive option to create large scale raised beds for home use, or also for what we're doing is to sell vegetables come spring. So enjoy the video and hopefully you learn how to create raised beds. So the first thing we do when we make raised beds is we lay out the pieces of wood that we want to utilize. We're using cedar fence panels. Here in the Columbus, Ohio market, those cost around $3 a piece. And each bed that we make that are 12 feet by 3 feet take 10 panels, or 10 of these pieces of wood. So we then also use scrap 2x4 in order to create the joins and for support. So what we're trying to accomplish is a 12 foot by 3 foot raised bed for under $40 each one of them. It's a very cost-effective way to do raised bed gardening. So these are the scrap pieces of 2x4 that we're utilizing. We find that if we go to the hardware store and we find damaged pieces that are slightly damaged, the hardware store, Home Depot or wherever, will mark down these pieces to about 70% off in order to just get rid of them, because they obviously can't sell them for full price, but they do want to make some money off of them. So we take them off their hands for about 70% off and use those to make our raised beds. For the supports of the beds, like I said earlier, we purchase usually damaged pieces of wood, not terribly damaged, but enough to where they can't be sold at first quality. The good thing about Home Depot is that they discount those significantly, about 70%. So we like to buy those and cut them into 1 foot segments in order to support and create the braces for the raised beds. Make sure you carefully mark 1 foot off each board and then cut them to make sure that you've got the right supports for your bed. Roll.
Safety goggles should be worn, but I have glasses.
Okay, the first step is to line up the boards on top of the scrap lumber that we're utilizing to brace them. And so this is what that looks like. And then we just connect those together. Hopefully. Sometimes the screws don't cooperate. So the next support is midway through the board. This keeps the bed supported from the pressure of the dirt coming and pushing outwards. So it's important to make sure that you have that support at the ends and the middle of each board. For the center of the boards, the center of the bed, we actually line up another support piece, but it is then halfway utilized by one set of planks and then halfway utilized by another. The next bit is to start connecting the second half of the single panel. Each panel section is 6 feet long, so that the bed length ends up being 12 feet long. Make sure that you align the boards as tightly as possible for a good fit and to make sure that you don't lose soil. And then we finish up the single panel, the first side panel, by following the same process that we did for the first, which is create a brace in the middle of the board, and then at the end, put another brace piece equal or even with the ends of the planks. Since we buy the wood at discount, sometimes it has flaws and whatnot, so just make sure that if you're doing the same thing that you use the flattest piece or the flattest part of that wood in order to join with the fence panels. It doesn't matter a whole lot that the board itself is a bit chewed up or a bit damaged on the inside, because it's just going to be displacing dirt, so it really doesn't matter how even it is, but it is important to have it even and nice when you're drilling into it. Natural wood has its flaws, and when you're working with this type of wood, at the end sometimes you'll end up with pieces that don't quite fit. And what you'll have to do, particularly with cedar because it is so flexible, is you may have to put some pressure on the wood in order to put it into the position that you want it to be. But once it's drilled and connected, the weather and whatnot will help it acclimate and stay in the shape that you ask it to be. And it's really just very easy to start the next panel. So the second side is done exactly the same way as the first. So lining up your boards and drilling them together. The next critical step is going to be to put the ends on and make the bed complete. The last part to connect the panels that we've built is to put the ends on. As I said, each one of these raised beds takes 10 panels. These are 6 feet long. So what we do is we take 2 of them and cut them in half so that we get a 3 foot width of a bed. It's easy to cultivate, it's easy to weed, it's easy to harvest from. So we need to just connect those and put them together. So the way this is connected, as you can see, we just took the end and lined it up with the wood and connected it. And the final 2 screws go in. And there you have it. This is a 12-foot by 3-foot cedar plank raised beds. So what we will do next, after we build about 5 million more of these, is underlay them with cardboard to make sure that we're suppressing all the weeds and creating a sheet mulch. And then we will plant them come spring once we fill them with proper potting soil.